Hello, and welcome back to the Intuitively Led podcast. I am your host, Julie Chandler, and today we are going to talk about 5 ways that you can use tarot within your business to help you become intuitively led and to really just enhance what you're doing within your business. Because for me, tarot is one of the easiest tools to help you get out of your own way. And this is something that is so important when it comes to following your intuition, when it comes to working with energy and really trusting yourself. One of my favorite reasons for using tarot is because it is a tangible tool. It is something that you can see in front of you that is helping you tap into your insights. Now, I will say this from the jump, we want to remember that our tarot cards don't have the answers. It is always us. We are the ones that are interpreting the tarot cards. And I would always encourage people that when they are using tarot or oracle cards or whatever cards that you're using, to really listen into your own intuition when it comes to what's coming up. So if you're really drawn to something in the cards, if you're really drawn to a certain word or the first thing that comes into your mind when you read what's on the cards, this is something that you need to pay attention to. Okay. So this week for me was a really great example of when I have used tarot to tap in and find out what my next steps are. This week, I had the opportunity to sign on a new client for my OBM work. At the same time, I had another client release and let go, just transitioning through her work at the moment. So we're offboarding her while I'm looking to onboard another client. And obviously, whenever there's any change or any shift in your business, it can feel a little bit unstable and unsturdy. And initially, my first reaction was panic. Like, what am I going to do? I can't offboard. I'm not ready. I don't have the money coming in. I don't have this. I don't have that. When really and truly, these are ingrown fears that aren't real. I do have the money coming in. I've already got somebody that's coming in place that was already agreed and paperwork is in the process for before the other client said that they needed to change and then they needed to let go. So, why do we always just go back to that fear? Why do we step into that panic? And this can be different for every single one of us. For me, I do have this ongoing thing for me personally where I will always be dealing with money. It's something that is fully ingrained in my birth chart. And it is something that I will continuously work on. I know I can manifest money and get money at any time because I've seen it, I've done it, I've experienced it. I can ask the universe for things. And it's just interesting that we will always have these like reactions. Now, what we want to know is how long will I stay in that reaction and what can I do to get out of it? So, as an example, as soon as I'd had that phone conversation with the client, immediately I tapped online and I was like, should I be looking for networking events to meet more people? Should I be looking for a part-time job? What should I be doing? And I actually then sent a message to a friend of mine and said, this client's going, I'm having that fear. And as soon as I'd sent that message, I realized what I needed to do was do what is best for me. Now, the thing that's best for me for my clarity is for me to get out on a dog walk. So off I went to the local woods and had a walk and realized actually I'm fine. And this is something that happens all the time. And especially in a service-based business, sometimes we can put an offer out there and it doesn't hit, and we get the fear and we're panicking and we're like, do I put that out again? When actually everything in your intuition tells you you're okay, you're supported. And tarot is a really, really great tool to helping you navigate that and come back to who you are, what you need to do, what you need to focus on. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So even in this example, I've then pulled some tarot cards on around a topic or something that I'd wanted to do in a workshop. And I was gifted that yes in those tarot cards immediately, which was a fantastic thing for me. And I want to be able to share that with you guys. So let me just tell you a little bit about tarot itself. Tarot is just a tool. They are cards that have an imprint or a message on them that tell you about a situation. Now, your tarot cards will tell you as much as they can, but it is still up to you to tap into your intuition. And it's up to you to actually really look at how you're asking the questions, because the way that the cards respond is limited to the questions that you ask. Tarot and energy doesn't like to repeat itself, doesn't like to go round and round. So you don't want to keep asking the same questions to your cards. Unless it's something very simple, I will put that in there. If it's something very simple of like, what do I need to know today? And doing that every day. But if you said, what do I need to know today? And then asked it again an hour later and an hour later and an hour later, the energy isn't going to move swiftly and it's going to be confusing. You need to be able to ask a question. What do I need to know today? Putting that out there to the universe. If that doesn't make sense to you, you can ask the cards, can you go a level deeper? Is there a certain topic I need to focus on? Like, and start pulling things out in that way. Because with tarot, as I say, it really depends on your questions that you ask it as to how much it can give you back. Because otherwise, there are cards that perhaps come out of the deck that don't make any sense to anything. And if you look at them and you're like, I don't know where to place this, you need to start asking more questions. Now, tarot has so much symbolism to it. So whether, again, you're using tarot or whether you're using oracle cards or angel cards, it doesn't matter what type of cards they are. Actually, a lot of oracle cards, and I would say 99% of them, actually stem from the original tarot anyway. When you learn tarot, you're able to actually see in the oracle decks where they feed in and actually match up with the cards in the tarot deck as well. So there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to tarot, and that it's always just about fortune telling and that certain cards are bad, and that's not true at all. For me, there isn't a bad card in the tarot deck, and you need to be aware of that, because if you sit there and feed into the fear around certain cards, you're not going to get anywhere. And especially if you want some aligned action of what to do next in your business, like I did this last week. If I sat there and had a card of the Tower card, for example, of everything crumbling, I could look at that as like, oh my God, all my clients are going to fall out and I'm not going to have any money coming in. I'm not going to be able to go to France for the summer. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. If I got the tarot, the Tower card came out and I actually looked at it in a way of, okay, that person is falling away. What other areas of my business do I want to make more secure? What do I want to make as a base? And I say this because the Tower card does represent crumbling and things falling apart, but it does also represent things falling apart for a reason, and falling apart so that you can start again from scratch, creating that base, that blueprint, so that you can then build up. So there is always that possibility to reframe the card that you may feel is negative or a warning or a message in a darker sense. Flip it, turn it. This is something that you need to be aware of when you are using tarot and oracle cards to really help you move forwards. Okay, so let's start with using tarot for decision making, okay? Because tarot can give you answers to what you need to do. And one of the easiest ways to play around with tarot is to ask it an A or B question. Now, do remember that in life, in general, when we have A and B as options, there is always C, D, E, F, all the way through to the end of the alphabet and on. Because we often as humans see A and B as our only options, when the universe actually can see infinite possibilities of all of the in between. But if you want some guidance and you want to ask tarot or oracle cards between your A and your B, this is something that is super, super easy to do. Now, I'm personally not a massive fan of tarot spreads. Now, by spreads, I mean the way that you lay the cards out. And I find that they often will represent old patterns and outdated ways of doing tarot that can make you feel stuck and inhibited with it. You have to do it a certain way. And that's just not true. So the easiest way to do things is to pull cards out. Again, there are so many different ways that you can pull cards, and I'm not going to go into that today. If you are interested in that, I do have a course that is a 21-day tarot course that gives you information over 21 days to learn tarot in a brand new way. You can find that on the website. For today, we are going to say, I'm going to talk about how I pull cards. Okay. So I will shuffle cards and I will, as I'm shuffling them, allow them to fall out individually. So if I'm doing this for a decision of should I do A or should I do B, I will shuffle cards with the intention of the cards either falling out on one side or the other. And what I do is I actually lean. So if I say that A is on the left, I will lean towards the left to allow these cards to fall out as I'm shuffling in the left pile. Now, sometimes some of them flip and they will fall over to the right. So I know that that needs to go in the B pile. But then I will shuffle again for the B pile and I will look at the cards on A and B. Now, if there are certain cards that stick out, like the Seven of Swords, that's an option that, so the Seven of Swords can be a sneaky card, it's a deceit card, it's a things are hidden card. If that came out in one of those piles, I'm personally not going for one of those options. Or I'm going to look a lot deeper to find out where that deceit and that hiding thing is. But if you've got certain cards that are much more positive, you've got the sun or you've got the star, you've got an ace in one of those as an option. Aces are brand new beginnings. They are often a beautiful start. If I was asking about a client, should I take this client, yes or no? And one side so if the yes side had the Ace of Pentacles as an example, the Ace of Pentacles would represent new income coming in. So I would be like, okay, that's talking to me about the finances that can come in from that. Looking at these two options and these two piles, I mean, you can make it super simple and only pull one card for each and see where it lies. Now, if the cards are middle of the road, so they're both kind of like an even energy for you when you read them, it could be that there are other options available to you. And that's kind of how the universe talks to us with tarot, in that way of, you're asking me an A and B, but I'm actually over here on letter X. So play with it, see what you can do. But it is something that helps you also get out of your own way. Because if you have your own real thoughts, your own intuitive hits about which option to take, the tarot cards will help you pull that out. It will help you look at where your fears are, what your ideas are, what things are hidden, and what things are getting in your own way as well. Because as soon as you start playing with this and you see that these cards are talking to you, essentially, this is the universe talking back to you. So it's like talking with a business friend or a business coach. You're pulling these things out and the cards are saying to you, yes, you can do this. This is an option that you can take. Or no, actually, there is something here that is hidden. What is it? You could take it on face value, your decision making, and you're like, okay, here are my cards. This one definitely says, yes, do this. So I'm going to do that. And you can do that. Or if, there is something in between where you're like, actually, there's more here. And this is where you can then start using this in a way that actually, and this is one of my favorite ways to use tarot, is to use it for your own self-development. So if you're spotting things here of like, okay, both of these options are actually fine. I could do either of these options if I wanted to, but there's something here that's stopping me. You can then start asking the tarot, what is stopping me? What is hidden? What is the root cause of this fear? What is the root cause of this quote unquote problem? Where does this stem from? How can I navigate this? Start using your cards as if they are a therapist, as if they are a mentor, as if they are a coach. Asking the questions, seeing what comes through, and actually spending some time reflecting on it. So it's not about just pulling out a card and being like, oh, this one says that I've got problems with people at work. Okay, where does that stem from? Why do they irritate you? Why does that frustrate you? Why does that drain you? How does that affect your decisions moving forward? How can you navigate it moving forward? There are so many different things you can ask and different ways you can approach it, from a sense and from a place of coaching, mentoring, for up leveling. It's all about really working on yourself, personal growth, self-reflection, because we know how important that is when it comes to business. So any coach, any offer, any product that you will buy or invest in always has an element of mindset in it. So why not navigate this personally whenever you need it with a tarot deck or an oracle deck that is in your pocket? Asking the questions that you might very well find if you went to a therapist or a coach. What are these things? How are you going to navigate them? So for me, as an example, if I was looking at what happened last week, when a client says that they can no longer work with me for their own personal reasons, I can then sit there and say, okay, what did this trigger in me? I was worried about money. Where does that stem from? And asking the cards that, seeing what comes out, because you might be surprised. Like, here's a random example. So maybe something comes out of the Empress card comes out and you're like, oh, that means mother figure. Is there something in the mother line where I think that I shouldn't be earning so much? What does my mum think of money? What does my grandma think of money? What do I think of money as a parent? Like, looking into things a little bit differently with the cards that come out. It's something that is so, so powerful, and it will really help you navigate and understand the difference between your intuition and your fears in your decision making. So another great way to use intuition and to use your tarot cards is for brainstorming. In business, we have so many ideas, so many things in our minds that it's often difficult to get all of our ideas out And sometimes what is so great is sitting there and brainstorming in a way of just getting stuff out on paper. So if you sat there and you had an idea for an offer or a product, a course, an option, whatever it is that you wanted to put together, and you had that idea and you're like, right, let me just put this down on paper. Maybe I want to do it. Let's talk about tarot, right? So maybe I want to do a tarot course. And you're asking the cards, you're like, what else needs to go into this? And you get a card that is talking about, so we'll talk about the Tower card again. We can talk about Tower in a sense of people worrying about you shaking tarot up and twisting it around. So when I created my tarot course, I created it from a way of storytelling, which isn't something that has been done before. It's not something that's readily available. I talk about weaving your tarot story, weaving your personal story into your tarot cards so that when you get tarot cards come out, you can relate them to personal experiences, times in your life, in your history, in your mind, whether it's your life, your friend's life. It's just linking them to stories that make sense so that pieces can click when you're talking and using your intuition. So if I had the Tower card and it came out when I was brainstorming, I might look at that and be like, okay, I need to really go back to the basics here. I really need to look at step by step how to build this from the beginning. Or maybe I need to look at it in a way that, maybe that Tower card means other people need to come back to basics. So maybe that Tower card is representing a tarot course that is positioned at people that have tried and tried and tried tarot courses before, but they haven't worked and they haven't done anything. And then they come back to, right, let me start again at the basics. These are just examples. There are so many different things that can come out in tarot, whether it's the uprights, the reverses, whether it's card combinations together. And it's the same with oracle cards. If you've got different cards saying different things, the messaging is there. It's all about using that to pull out what more is there. So if you had an oracle card that sits there and talks about meditation, maybe there is a meditation layer that you need to put into your offer. Or maybe it's that you need to do a meditation to allow your brain to open up and do more brainstorming. It's just a really great tool to have with you when you're creating and crafting something on your own, because being a solopreneur, entrepreneur is very, very isolating. A lot of the time you are on your own. You might be in groups, you might have mini mindsets, you might have, mini masterminds, you might be in a mastermind, but the actual work that you do, you have to do it on your own. The ideas have to come from you, because if you're pulling them from other people's courses or you're pulling, you're just using templates and things like that, you're not actually ever going to really imprint your own energy out into the world. So using tarot to ask what should be in your course, what it should look like, how it should function, what things do I need to be aware of, how do I position this, use it, brainstorm with the tarot, ask more and more questions, a variety of questions, seeing what comes out, writing things down, brainstorming, building a big picture. It's such a fun tool to do for that within your business. And as I say, it's like having your own mentor with you all the time in the cards. Another great one, and this is one of my favorite things to do, is goal setting with cards. Now, the reason I love this is because it pushes your boundaries. If you sit down and you say, right, this month I want to earn X, and you've probably come to a sensible goal that you're like, it's pushing my boundaries, but it's not way out there. And you have no real tangible way of saying yes or no, this is a good goal to achieve, or that I can do this. But if you sit there and you actually give yourself different options, so targets and things like that. So you're putting, I want to earn this much this month. Then put one that's a bit higher and one that's a bit lower. Ask the cards for things within that space. So if you're saying, I want to, let's just do the stereotypical online amount, I want 10K months. So how you put 10K as your option, and maybe you put 5K and you put 15K, and you ask the cards, you ask for a card for each one and see what it says, see how it feels, see what comes up. Maybe it's saying, you should actually be aiming for 15. Again, even if we were doing something more simple on a lower end, I want £100 this month from my side hustle. I want to launch and I want to make £500, just putting different price points in there. And that's also a fantastic way to create your own price points in terms of what you're selling your products for. Don't just pick a number out of the sky. You can ask your tarot cards, It's the same kind of thing. You can put the price points down, ask the cards, pull a card out for each one, see what that says, see how it feels to you, and then go with the one that the cards are directing. Trust it. Same with your goal setting. Putting those goals out there and asking your cards. And also with goal setting, you can ask the cards where you should be focused, because we can create goals in all areas of our lives. So if you're looking at business right now and it's like, okay, actually should I look at getting more people on my email list, or should I look at making more money? And it's kind of that ever going thing, right? We need more people on our list sometimes to get more people in. But maybe the cards direct you to say, no, actually look at making more money. So revisiting the people that are on your list. Maybe it says about making more connection and working together. So maybe you put together a group offering. Like these kind of things can be there within your goal setting. Allow the cards to direct you. So even if you sat down and you said to your cards, I would like to know what direction you want me to go in the next month and help me build these goals around that, doing it that way rather than coming at it necessarily from a financial goal to start with or a numbers goal. There are so many ways that you can do it, but it helps you get some clarity and it helps you get some focus. Then when you've got that, because you've asked the universe for that information, you can continue to ask the universe for guidance in that way. So if the universe is saying, focus on community, because your cards have said something about community and coming together and celebrating and all of this kind of stuff can come out in those cards. So you're like, right, I need to focus on community. So then every day when you're waking up, you can ask the universe, what do I need to know today to focus on community? Like, what do I have to do? And allow things to come to you. So starting off with the tarot is that tangible thing. So you can see it and be like, right, the universe has said this. Now I can actually make more specific goals. I can ask the universe specific questions and align with that direction. It's also a really, really great thing for problem solving. So if you have a client that is a bit of a ball ache, let's say, you can ask the cards what their issue is. Now, it's not necessarily about just tapping into their energy and understanding what's going on in their lives, but at the same time, it is understanding how you can navigate that client. So what that problem, so I'm using it as a person, but maybe there is something else that is a problem and you need to ask the cards of like, okay, what do I do? Where do I look to uncover this problem? What is this looking like? Because remember, this is like having a tarot deck is like having someone else in your business. It is having that mentor. It is having that guidance. It is something that allows you to tap into something that is outside of you. So not only is it the universe that's communicating with you and giving you that guidance through the cards, but it's also an opportunity for you to learn more and more about how your intuition is popping up. Because I guarantee you that there will be things that come up in the cards and you're like, yeah, I already knew that. I already knew that. And that's something I hear all the time. When I'm doing tarot readings one-on-one, I always hear, yes, like I know I've been thinking about that today. I was thinking about that last week. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. We already know the answers. We already have the answers. It's just a case of trusting it and moving forward. So these are some really, really fantastic ways that you can use tarot today to help you get out of your own way to have more aligned action moving forwards. Ask those questions to your tarot cards. Trust the responses that come through. Push the limits on how you want to interact with your tarot cards. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, if you have anything that you want to say about this podcast or tarot, drop me a line. A couple of you have been reaching out to me recently saying how much you're enjoying these, and I really, really love to hear from you. Do let me know. And if you are able to leave a review, that is so appreciated. I will speak to you guys next time.